Over the years, sample making has become a big part of the music industry. From producers like Al Hug, Coop the Truth, Des Wright, all landing major placements from their samples. Today we're going to find out what makes a good sample maker and what we can learn from it. Starting with some sign calls like Coop the Truth and Over It. And the way he likes to use this is finding a sign preset and raising the attack up and pairing it with a swelling shaper box. Now let's listen to some Coop stems from a sign chord. You can notice he high pass filters it, then runs that high end through tape. So when we do that, notice it gives it a different texture. Then I wanted to add some guitar samples on top of this. I noticed Coop likes to stack his chords panning left and right. But what I noticed with these, they're both in mono. This is what the guitars sound like before they're in mono. Notice how different of a space it creates when we turn this to mono. When adding extra textures from percussion loops, sample makers like to think outside the box. First technique is using the percussive element. I found some drum loops on Splice that sounded like this. And just like the chords, I downsampled it, ran it through tape and put it in mono. The second technique I saw is on Coop's Twitter. So I went to Splice and found this bird one shot, but just like these sample makers, I wanted to give it extra texture. So I used this portal and you can see I chopped it up to give it that texture stop start. Then the third technique is adding synth texture on top of this, like Des Wright and Nick D. So just like Des Wright did in Flocky Flocky. Added these arps. Then laying in a synth pad to give it that thickness. And a trick that these sample makers use to give their mono instruments more room is using this mid side. As you can see, I'm taking out the mid and having it more stereo so it's on the sides. Throughout Des Wright samples, he likes to have crying leads like in Wants and Needs.
On my mind, should repent. I need me some Jesus in my life. Amen.
And in Decapitator on top of this, and using glide notes to represent a pitch wheel. And doing the same thing for a string. What I noticed with all the sample makers, they like to keep their basses very simple and groovy. A familiar technique I noticed these producers use is called vari-speed, essentially recording vocals at different speeds to give it a more natural vibrato sound. So for this instance, like Nick D does for Middle of the Ocean,
Yeah.
I reversed the vocal, which is originally at 96 BPM, and listen how it gives it a more natural vibrato sound. And you can also do this with vocals recorded at a slower BPM. Notice how I used the form and automation to change the tones of the vocals. And I noticed Coop the Truth uses the mono trick on his vocals too. And let's see how that sounds. And when all these textures are put together, Nick D likes to run them through a Tascam.